What would you say if I told you these girls weren't just a come-on, but were an important part of our June Technical Roundtable program? Yeah, that's what I thought you'd say. Well, the girls are for real, and we'll be seeing quite a bit of them because they're here to help us recreate some typical customer question situations. Questions some of you have been asked in the past, and others that almost surely most of you will hear sometime in the future. When a customer asks a question about her Cadillac, no matter how simple or how nicely put, you and your dealership are being judged. So how you answer, what you say technically, is mighty important. Even behind the most demurely lowered lashes, always remember there's a mind at work, weighing every word that you say, measuring you to make sure you know your stuff. And don't let those soft kitten eyes fool you. Even the sweetest girl is like a tigress protecting her cub when it comes to getting the best care for her Cadillac. And they'll go to almost any lengths, even disguises and trickery, to make sure you're the guys to service their Cadillacs. For example, just last week, the brunette showed up all dressed up like Mata Hari. Now, I'm no Dick Tracy, but I suspected right off she might be up to something. She was.
Psst, psst. Hey, mister, come around the corner, and I'll show you something you never see before. Something that will revolutionize your tune-up and parts business. In this box is an invention of my friend Boris. Attach it to what you call the carburetor, and voila! Instantly, your customer's Cadillac gives such good mileage that one tank of gasoline could last for a year, maybe even longer, just depends on traffic. Buy a case of these from me, and Cadillac customers will be beating a path to your door. You'll be rich. Believe me, if everything I've told you isn't true, I'll eat my hat.
Oh, boy, the old magic carburetor story. Would you believe that this gal is really our bank president's wife? Would you believe bank robber's wife? More importantly, how would you answer a customer who is thinking of spending her money on one of those so-called miracle gadgets constantly being marketed that are supposed to really improve gas mileage? What would you say to convince this lady to save her money for a new hat? The first point you'd have to make is that gasoline mileage is a measure of engine efficiency, and that no gadget, regardless of any claims made for it, can improve the efficiency of a properly tuned engine. The key words are properly tuned. And the reason gadgets sometimes seem to improve performance or mileage dramatically is that the car was in need of maintenance, and that this needed maintenance was performed at the time the gadget was installed. Unfortunately, there's just no way to add more energy to a gallon of today's carefully formulated gasoline. If a gadget could do it, you can bet your boots it would be standard equipment on every Cadillac. Well, it looks like the girls have got their heads together, so we'd better brace ourselves for another question. Right, girls?
You're darn right you're right. I just run a complete chemical analysis that proves that engine oil never wears out. And what's more, this fact has been published in several completely authenticated scientific reports. In the face of this, how do you justify this don't miss the 2-month oil change, honey, routine you hand out in this flock of bills I've been paying? From here on out, Buster, just change the filter. But when it comes to my engine oil, I'd rather fight than switch.
Hold on there, champ. Give a guy a chance to answer, will you? Whew. Oh, that's better. First, let's begin by agreeing that the engine oil will last almost indefinitely. The oil itself does not wear out, but the additives do. And additives are the principal reason why today's extended engine oil drain periods are possible. Oil additives perform 2 important functions. Some additives, the detergents, serve to keep dirt and contaminants suspended in the oil so they do no harm. And this allows the engine oil filter to remove most of these particles as the oil circulates. Now, so long as these contaminants remain suspended, harmful varnish and sludge deposits will not form on engine parts. The second major role of additives is to neutralize destructive crankcase acids that are formed from piston blow-by, heat, and moisture. Both of these additives, the detergents and anti-acids, have an effective life of slightly more than 2 months in normal usage, or 6,000 miles in that same time period. At the end of this time, however, the additives are about used up, so the engine oil must be drained to get rid of the acid buildup that's starting and to prevent the dirt and contaminants from forming varnish and sludge in the engine when the detergents are exhausted. In effect, we change the oil to get rid of the dirt and acid accumulation.
Okay. Every 2 months we'll change the greasy kid stuff. Now let's get to my question. As you can see, I'm particularly when it comes to clean. My washing machine cleans like it's 20 feet tall, and you can tell my wash is whiter from 2 football fields away. Well, you can imagine my embarrassment when I learned that my Cadillac had a sooty black tailpipe and was told that this was a sure sign I was wasting gas and probably needed carburetor service. Imagine black soot on my Cadillac, and after following the owner protection plan services to the letter. And here all this time you've been telling me you're in good hands with Cadillac service. If I need a carburetor overhaul, you'd better explain yourself.
Oh, we'll explain. And you can rest assured that you are in good hands with Cadillac service. The best, in fact. Despite what some Mr. Clean has told you, even the cleanest, whitest, most perfectly maintained Cadillac with an ideally adjusted carburetor can have a sooty black tailpipe. As any Cadillac serviceman can tell you, or anyone else who really knows engines, a wet, sooty tailpipe only tells us that you are a short-trip driver, school, store, and so forth, right?
Right.
So soot builds up in your tailpipe simply because you don't drive far enough to burn it off. Understand?
Understand. But can you tell me if this is really necessary? My husband absolutely insists that I warm up the car for at least 5 minutes before I drive it. Do I have to, even when I'm late?
No, you don't have to, even when you're not late. In fact, warming your car up for 5 minutes may be one of the biggest reasons for that sooty black tailpipe we were talking about. From your engine standpoint, all it needs is a few seconds of idling to get the oil circulating before you start to drive. As much time as it takes you to fasten your seat belt, adjust the seat, lock the doors, and check the mirrors. After that, drive away. But please don't try to set any new track speed records until the temperature needle starts to move. That will tell you the engine's warm, and from then on, you're all set.
Are you saying my husband was wrong?
Oh, no, ma'am. I'm sure he knew that long engine warm-ups were a thing of the past, but I think we can take the sign off now because I'm sure he just wanted the car to be nice and warm inside before you had to leave on those cold mornings last winter.
Oh, nicely put, Galahad. But let me see you finesse your way through this one. The other day, when I had to have a tire changed, the repairman showed me that my front suspension was quite loose, in spite of my regular authorized Cadillac service. Why, he showed me that he could actually shake my front wheels by hand. Not much, but some. And he told me that the only sure way to fix them was to replace the lower ball joints with some special preloaded replacements he carried in stock. He said the new car companies couldn't make ball joints as good as these, and he wished they wouldn't try. Now, what do you say to that?
How about down the hatch? Because when the front wheels are raised, it's perfectly normal for the lower ball joints to have some free play or looseness, even as much as 1/16 of an inch on older Cadillacs where wear is a factor. But you don't drive with your front wheels raised. And when the front wheels are on the ground, there's absolutely no free play in the lower ball joints because now they are preloaded by the weight of the car and the front springs. That's about 1,300 pounds normally, and no less than 800 pounds, even when the wheels rebound on a bump. We don't preload our lower ball joints for the very good reason that the added friction would actually hinder the self-straightening characteristics of a Cadillac steering following a turn. And you wouldn't want to change the nice way your car handles, would you?
No, I sure wouldn't. It drives beautifully, so nice and smooth. And I want to keep it that way, so maybe I'd better replace all the shocks. That same man who fixed my tire explained to me that shock absorbers gradually wear out, and that he recommends new, stiffer replacements for every car that's over 2 years old, cars like mine. Was he right in trying to sell me new ones?
Why, sure, because he sells shocks for a living. But he's 100% wrong when he tells you that shocks wear out gradually. They go all at once, just like light bulbs, when and if they go at all. And that's one reason I know your car doesn't need new ones. You see, we know that your car rides smoothly. A car with bad shocks rides something like a hobby horse. It keeps bobbing up and down because leaking or defective shocks can't dampen or smooth out the spring action. When cars get older, lots older than yours, they limber up, and so stiffer replacement shocks may be needed, even if the originals haven't failed, to provide a better ride and the wheel damping necessary for good steering control. All replacement shocks would do for you is rough up that famous Cadillac Boulevard ride you're so fond of, because new replacement shocks would be stiffer. And after all, your car still rides like new because we've retightened the body and sheet metal mounting bolts.